high power, fast-paced, high-energy excitement of quarter horse racing and the thrills and spills of rodeo. This is the Full Quarter.
Coming up on today's show, the Grand Ole Border Track prepares to open its gates to the quarter horse game. What does it take to breed the best in the game? And hoppin' and boppin' in Aurelia. Welcome to the show. Joe Tilley along with Peter Gross. And Peter, the folks here are getting very excited about quarter horse racing moving to Fort Erie for the very first time.
Joe, it's an ideal marriage between the horsemen and the track. Everyone knows that Fort Erie's had some difficulties and some uncertain times, so the decision to implement quarter horse racing is just an exciting wrinkle that everyone in the area can, get a little turned on about. There's an awful lot of young quarter horse, 2-year-old quarter horses ready to run, so they won't have any problem filling the races out there. So it's a really good idea. You can go to the track, you can see some thoroughbred racing and some quarter horse racing.
First time that's happened.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, first time that's happened.
I didn't know. I'm going to make a note of that.
Yeah. We sent Alyssa Blow down to Fort Erie to check things out and get the scoop.
Welcome to historical Fort Erie Racetrack, where live thoroughbred racing has been held for over 100 years. This year, a pilot project will take place as the quarter horses come to town in the month of October. For the last 75 years, Fort Erie Racetrack has been the home of the Prince of Wales Stakes, Canada's second jewel in the Triple Crown. This year, Fort Erie has been taken over by new management. The Fort Erie Live Racing Consortium began managing the racetrack on July 1st of 2010. Over the years, the Border Oval has seen its fair share of changes, but this year, racing fans will be treated to a whole new, fast and high-energy experience when the quarter horses come to town.
Well, when the Fort Erie Live Racing Consortium was formed, then we were negotiating with the government because we had to get a change in the funding formula to allow us to do that. They came up with the idea of Fort Erie offering quarter horse racing as a new product in Fort Erie to help facilitate our success. They felt that a new product would help attract our market back, and it's not coincidental that it is the American quarter horse, and we're looking to get a lot more of our customers back from Buffalo and Amherst and Williamsville and Vermont and Ohio. The first year of this year is kind of a pilot of the pilot. We're hoping that the horsemen will respond very well and we'll get good fields. It's in everybody's interest to do that. But we will modify the program to its success in each of the next 3 years. And at the end, we'll file a report for the province, and then they'll consider what to do with it. We're suspecting that in order to build and continue to expand the quarter horse program throughout Ontario, that they're going to want to see this applicable at other tracks, and they can use our learning curve to do that.
Colorful trackman Brian Jabelman knows quarter horse racing inside and out.
I got a quarter horse experience down at Louisiana Downs. They held a 40-day race meet there. It's quite exciting. I call it the NASCAR of horse racing because there's a lot of speed involved. There's a lot of action on the track. It's a little more aggressive than your normal thoroughbred racing. It almost looks like there's no holds bar out there.
What do you have to change in order to accommodate quarter horse racing?
We don't have to change a heck of a lot. I mean, we've got the survey done for our new starting points. Basically, equipment changes. There's more padding that goes on the starting gate. We'll probably cut the track the same depth as we normally do for the quarter horses. The only thing is we'll use floats and back rake it as opposed to using the harrows, because we'll try to keep it a little bit wetter or a little bit moister than normal, because they really like to get a good grip on the track. Any experienced quarter horses, they've got grabs on all fours, and they really want to get a hold of the track. It's all about traction. Like I said, it's somewhat resembles NASCAR. I mean, they really are dependent on how good the track is, because it's only that short span. There's no room for error whatsoever. We're fixing up stalls for them, making sure that they're safe, and just as their thoroughbred cousins, we wanted them to be happy here.
Jockeys Mike Mihak and David Peaks do double duty as they ride both thoroughbreds and quarter horses.
I'm excited. I think it's good for both industries. I think it's going to help bring in more people for the thoroughbreds and Fort Erie, and it's going to help with the quarter horses having a few different options to run at. Hopefully we can get some longer distance races here, and it should be interesting.
Now, you've been successful in both, in thoroughbred racing and in quarter horse racing. Can you explain to the viewers what the difference is in the two different riding styles?
It's really, apples and oranges. thoroughbreds are generally more about relaxing them and getting them to make a good trip, whereas the quarter horses, generally you want to come out in front and end up in front.
What was it that drew you to the quarter horses?
A lot of people call me a speed rider, and a lot of friends of mine told me to come out and try it, and so I did, and I love it.
What do you prefer, thoroughbreds or quarter horses?
I just like winning, doesn't matter what it is. Fast cars, fast anything.
Born and raised in Fort Erie, Ontario, young jockey Chelsea Willick is ready to ride in her own backyard. So Chelsea, you started out in the world of thoroughbreds and then you've made the transition over to quarter horse racing. What was it about quarter horses that drew you that way?
Well, I started galloping thoroughbreds and I started breaking a lot out of the gate, and I just really like coming fast out of the gate, so everyone said you should try quarter horses, and I started going up there and breaking them out of the gate, and I loved it, so I kept doing it.
Now I know that you're still in search of your very first career win, but now you're racing in your own backyard. How important or how exciting is it going to be if you happen to break your maiden here at Fort Erie?
I think it'll be very exciting, and I hope I break it before then, but if I do break it here, I think it'll be great as well.
Chelsea comes by her love for horse racing naturally. Both her father and mother are outriders at Fort Erie Racetrack. Now, when you heard about quarter horses coming here to Fort Erie, what was your initial thought?
Absolutely thrilled. Absolutely thrilled. I think I'm hoping that the fans will love it, because they're going to see a different type of racing where thoroughbreds, it's a build-up over a course of a mile or whatever it may be, where the quarter horses, it's action right from the time the gate springs.
What's it like as a parent watching your daughter ride in races?
Scary. Absolutely scary.
Because the break is so important in quarter horse racing, this is a whole new challenge for starter Drew Cady.
Well, we have to use our backup gate, which is a true center, to hook up. It's a little bit wider, and they got to hook up the flipping halters in the true center. They also have pads on the back. They need more guys on the gate, guys that work the front doors, the back doors, and they have a guy for every horse. Basically, other than that, we're going to mix the guys that work here at Fort Erie with the thoroughbreds and the guys that work with the quarter horses. We're going to mix and match, and hopefully we're successful.
My goal for this is to see people in stands when we typically don't have them, and we're looking forward to a boisterous crowd.
So as the colors change, so do the breed of horses that will be competing here at Fort Erie Racetrack. Live racing begins in October. For the full quarter, I'm Elisa Blow.
Well, as you can see, the folks at Fort Erie are very excited about quarter horse racing. There'll be some quarter horse racing only cards, as well as some quarter horse and thoroughbred combined cards.
Well, another great reason to go out to the fort in the fall.
And there was a hotly contested quarter horse race here at Ajax Downs. The date was October 24th. It was the 8th race and a thriller. Pete, you were there.
I've seen most of the races here at Ajax Downs in the summer and the spring here. It's the best race I've ever seen. Just what a sensational race. I mean, to begin with, they were all very good horses, but the finish had 6 horses, noses and necks apart, and you really couldn't tell who the winner was. Now, as it turned out, the winner was 6-pack of Corona, with Johnny R. Smith coming second, about a quarter inch apart.
A quarter inch apart. And of course, the jockeys knew who won.
Well, that was the weirdest thing. Afterwards, I talked to Michelle Reichelboom, who was the jockey on 6-pack of Corona, and she says, at the wire, I turned to Peaksy, Dave Peaks beside her, and said, I got you. And he turned back to her and said, congratulations. How they knew defies logic, because when you watch the race, and we're going to show you the race, you need to see it several times, and you still don't know who won.
It was a nose in the photo.
They're at the post. They're off. Miss Bedlan is out quickly in the center of the track. To her inside is Toot for the Patriot, and along the fence there is Trey's Oki. Trey's Oki. Miss Bedlan is being joined by Longshot Intimidating Jess, but Miss Bedlan now accelerating for Mersika. Miss Bedlan coming down into deep stretch. Who's it going to be? A photo to win 5 horses across.
No matter how many times you watch the replay, you realize that it took a slow motion or a photo finish right at the wire to separate them. 6 horses at the wire, all within heads and noses. Remarkable finish.
Peter, there's a number of stakes races coming up at Ajax Downs in October. Some big ones, including the Ontario Jackpot Futurity with a purse of $150,000. And the trials are coming up, and it's going to be busy.
Yeah, with the exception of the Ontario Jackpot Futurity, which just puts together the 10 horses who've earned the most money. To get into most stakes races at Ajax Downs, you have to perform well in a heat. They'll have 2 or 3 heats. The winner of each heat gets in. The rest of the field is comprised of the horses that run the fastest, so no points for style, and you can't phone in like on American Idol and vote for your favorite horse. It's just a question of how fast you go. So what you end up with in the final are 10 really, really fast horses, all who feel they can get a chunk of the money. The Ontario Jackpot Futurity, again, is the 10 horses, the 10 two-year-olds this year that have accumulated the most money in other stakes races. So again, you've got 10 horses who have the credentials to be there.
One of the races with the Alex Peacock Memorial, and in the trial, one of the horses, EA Zoom, the fact that horse was in the trial is an absolute miracle when you consider what that horse went through.
Zoomer, we bought her at the Heritage Place sale in January. We bought her to fill the gap we had in older horse stake races. Since then, she's had a lot of health issues. She started to have liver failure about a month and a half after we bought her. We have absolutely no idea because we bought her at a sale and have no history of her health. So we took her to Guelph, and we've done a lot of blood work. Basically, after Guelph, they had no idea what was wrong with her. So we brought her home, and we did a lot of supportive treatment, basically what it's called, just to support her, to help keep her alive long enough to her body would take over. Started her on antibiotics. Since then, her blood work has come down. Her liver is functional a lot better than it was. Not quite up to par. As of a week and a half ago, she was 1 point off normal for her GGT, which is just amazing. Since then, we've started training her, light training her, ponying her, and doing that. As you can tell, she loves people still, which is amazing. Since then, she started back training, light ponying. We've just started galloping her as well, and our goal is to head to the Alex Peacock trials.
Coming up, we've got part 2 in our series on the business of breeding and holding on for dear life at Aurelia. But first, here's a look at the rider, trainer, and owner standings brought to you by Wild Wing Restaurant. Welcome back to the show. It's called the All-American Futurity from Rio Doso Downs in New Mexico. It's the richest event in quarter horse racing with a purse of over $2 million. And Pete, the reason I bring this up is it's a Labor Day race, and it's an event that we can sort of gauge on maybe where Ajax Downs is now and maybe where it's headed.
Well, first of all, just the thought of racing a quarter mile, maybe 20 seconds for $2 million is quite mind-boggling. But keep in mind that in 1959, it started, the All-American Futurity, as a race for $150,000, and by 1978, they were giving away $1 million. We're giving away $150,000 and $100,000 in several stakes races here. Well, not you and me, but yeah, good luck getting that kind of money from us. Yeah. But even 5-8 years ago, the purses weren't close to that here. So it's a question of evolution. Ajax Downs is not a mystery anymore. It's not a secret to people in other locations, other racetracks in the United States. They're bringing their horses here. The sport is growing. So maybe in the year 2028, you and I, with our canes and our walkers, will be standing here talking about $1 million race.
Maybe even before that.
Hopefully. Now, Joe, it used to be, just a few years ago, that all of the really good quarter horses came from south of the border, but things are changing dramatically in Ontario. Last week, Joe had a story where he went to a stallion farm and saw some of the really good quarter horse stallions in this province. This week, he takes a look at a farm where broodmares are featured.